South Sudan only gained independence from the north in 2011, but now the world's youngest country has already slipped into civil war. No outside observers know for sure how the war began. The government claimed that the vice president, Riek Machar, tried to launch a coup against the president, Salva Kiir, and when that failed, fled north to begin the Bush rebellion. The rebels claim, with some accuracy, that the Kiir government has consolidated power into the hands of the dominant Dinka tribe, threatening the transition to true democracy. What is known is that thousands of people have been killed, hundreds of thousands of civilians have fled their homes, and that both sides have committed major human rights abuses, including the murder of civilians along tribal fault lines. South Sudan's an incredibly difficult country to report from, partly due to the complete lack of infrastructure outside the capital, Juba, and partly due to the heavy filming restrictions imposed by the army. An Al Jazeera journalist had just been arrested, then deported, for claiming the rebels were about to take the capital. For days, the government had forbidden us to film almost anything, but then they summoned us to a meeting, which turned out to be a press conference.
This is a general security briefing. If there are questions or rumors you want to dispel, they can answer those questions.
We are very, very near to go, and there is no fight here. But of course, you know, the civilian, those who are not soldiers, they always panic. And the telephone is very dangerous. You see, media, you brought us a very, very serious thing. And even myself, I'm either arrested or have run away. These are rumors. So there is no fight near here, no, nothing. There is no a tribe that will make a country. So I want to tell my soldiers that please refrain from this tribal war.
Helpful for everybody, so we see you again.
Can we go towards the front lines with your soldiers? So when you recapture the ball, we can see you.
Okay, that's in contact
With no, you are
okay.
How far do you want to go? We want to go to as far as possible. So that was the press conference. We accidentally gate crashed. The message is pretty clear. There's a lot of rumours swirling around that the rebels are advancing on Juba. According to the generals here, that's not true. And generally they gave a message of peace, of reconciliation. They're saying we're all brothers, we're all South Sudanese, we should leave politics to the politicians, put aside tribal differences, try and get through this. Okay. Finally, we're getting slightly outside Juba on what's clearly a very guided, structured press tour. None of us have any idea where we're actually going, but whatever it is, it's something the army obviously wants us to see. A plainclothes security officer drove on ahead of us, leading us to the village. This seemed a carefully orchestrated PR stunt. What is this ceremony?
This is Lokoya, traditional dance. The Lokoya community, we always like peace. That is why, even in spite of these clashes around Southern Sudan, we are praying for the sake of our people. And we side with Salva Kiir Mayardit, our president.
What do you think about the rebels?
The rebels are our brothers. We hope and wish that they will come and join us. Southern Sudan is one. We want Riek Machar to come and compromise. The dead bodies are enough. These people who are playing now, they are tired of war. Our people all need peace.
After a few minutes, we were ushered back onto the truck for the next stop on the PR tour. Major, what's happening now?
This is a place called Sherikat.
Okay.
This is the last market. So the situation is normal here.
Is that why you've taken us here? To show us that the situation is normal?
Yeah, you can go now and ask, no problem. Job is working. People are working.
The fighting in Juba may have finished, but things were still far from normal. We're driving through a ghost town. That truck just ahead of us, MO. They're the Moral Operations Arm, the propaganda arm of the South Sudanese Army. They're taking us on this weird and slightly creepy guided tour. I have absolutely no idea what they're trying to show us, what this is about. We stopped here, I don't know why. Finally, they took us to an abandoned district formerly lived in by people from the Nuer tribe. They gave us just a few minutes there to film, watched the whole time by our military escort. According to the UN and Human Rights Watch, hundreds of Nuer men were massacred here by government troops just 2 weeks earlier.
They left this area because the fighting was here. You see, there. Yeah. But now the people are trying to come back. They will come back because the security is now okay.
So these soldiers here are in what used to be the Nuer district of Juba. The Nuer have all fled. They're all hiding in the UN base down there. One of the soldiers who took us here said many Nuer were killed. He wouldn't say who by. If you come and film here alone, the army arrests you. But the army took us here. They come to show us that everything's okay. How is security now, Lieutenant? Tamam? I think that's all we're going to get from these guys. They were never going to show us where the bodies were buried. And because we didn't push it, they chose to send us up to the front line. Finally, we got a phone call this morning, a surprise phone call from a general. He said, come to the main base, bring everything you have. So what's happening now?
We're defeating the enemy. The enemy is in France.
How far away are the enemy from here?
It's in our own bow. They are not really trained soldiers. They are civilians.
So all these men here, what are they going to do now?
They are going to pursue the enemy.
And we're going to go with them?
Yeah, of course.
Good.
I'm the commander.
Thank you very much. Off we go.
Completely unexpectedly, after a week of getting nothing, we got a phone call from the general, and within minutes, we're in a helicopter up to the front line.
With Juba now firmly in government hands, the real war is taking place in the bush north of the capital. Bor is only 200 kilometers north of Juba, but South Sudan's terrible road network makes it a long and uncomfortable journey by road, but a short trip by air. When we landed, the commander of the Bor front, General Malawal Ayam Dor, told me that his troops had defeated a rebel assault only that morning.
Pretty cool.
He seemed confident, and his men displayed a high level of morale. This morning, did the enemy attack you, or did you attack the enemy?
The enemy attacked us.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
But you defeated them?
We defeated them.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Any casualties?
Oh, yes.
Enemy or yours?
Both.
Okay. How far away was the battle this morning from here?
9 miles from here.
The enemy, do they have vehicles? Do they have heavy weapons?
The vehicle that they have looted from the local civilians. Of course, they have some vehicle from the SPLA because some of the divisions are there.
You're happy with the security situation here?
We are fine. So far, so good. No problem at all. We should be in Bor by tomorrow.
There are lots of rumors that the rebels are advancing in Juba.
Well, we have seen. So where they went, maybe from different directions.
Yeah.
But from this direction, you can see. Yeah.
As the reinforcements and fresh supplies were unloaded, casualties from the morning's fighting were rushed onto the helicopters to take them back to Juba's military hospital.
We're taking all the way here for 5 minutes to the front line. And that's the best we'll get today. But it shows the troops feel confident in their positions here.
It's a strange country. I mean, at first they don't allow you to film anything, absolutely anything. And then suddenly they offer you the world. Take a shine to you, get exclusive trips up to the front line. Now the army drove us north in a carefully planned PR opportunity to show the world that the government still controlled the entire road to the front line. Stop. That's fine. It's fucked. The general's coming back. Let's see what I can do.
It is good it happened here.
Yeah.
Because if it happened in that area, it could not be okay.
No.
It is good it happened here. Let us go to sit together here in my car.
Do you think the solution to this conflict will be a political one in Addis Ababa or a military one here on the ground?
To me, I don't think that the rebels, they have legitimate right to fight because we just liberated our country recently. And if the politicians need the power, they should go to ballot paper. Okay? We are still a young nation.
So, I mean, there are all sorts of rumors flying around Juba that the rebels, they're coming down this road.
No, I don't think somebody misled. You know, at the moment, the fighting is around Jonglei, and we are hopefully to capture the town. You believe me, what I'm telling you at the moment is that we are going to flush them out from both towns, and even some started running away.
As befits the commander of the most elite unit in the South Sudanese army, the general was confident about the victory ahead. He kept telling me Bor would fall to government forces in the next few hours, and that the rebels were merely a poorly trained rabble of tribal volunteers.
That is why we are calling them rebels. The rebel is somebody who is not organized. He has nothing, he has no basis. Yes, we can say that some few soldiers from within our forces, they defected. But to me, I think they are regretting the decision that they have taken.
But the government had lost Bor twice in the previous 2 weeks. For all the government's superior equipment and manpower, the rebels were clearly doing something right. We stopped off for a few hours near Mangala, a garrison town just 50 kilometers north of the capital that, according to Juba rumors, had already fallen to the rebels. The rumors were clearly wrong. The general's commandos were firmly in control of Mangala, and the dusty village was a hive of activity as they prepared to move north to the war. It would take us all day to travel less than 200 kilometers to the front line. The general's men tried to hurry things along by driving at high speed, but that's a gamble on roads like this. The truck in front of us hit a pothole and flipped into a ditch, trapping soldiers inside. The convoy is zooming ahead of us in these terrible roads when a car overturned, started gushing out smoke. A couple of guys here are injured, not too badly. It could have been a lot worse. But it shows the difficulties of travelling in this country. The roads are terrible. It's a difficult place to wage war. It was a bad omen for the journey ahead. We barely left Juba, and the general's bodyguard had already taken casualties. As we approached territory only recently recaptured from the rebels, the commandos looked visibly more alert. Armed villagers had warned them that they'd spotted suspicious men skulking around the bush. They suspected they were rebel scouts, but the general was keen to reassure me they were being overcautious.
Yeah, you know what, when there is any information about the enemy, the soldiers, you must take caution.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't need to be surprised by your enemy. Yeah, it does not mean that there is a real enemy, there is a threat.
All along the road, General Gatwich stopped off at villages to greet old comrades from the long 20-year liberation struggle against the Arab government in Khartoum. Eventually, we stopped for the night at the forward base of the assault on Bor. The SPLA had taken over a tourist resort, Sudan Safari, as their divisional headquarters. So we're here. It's our home for the night. We're about 9 kilometers south of the front line, or what was the front line. It looks like the SPLA pushed forward. It's a nice place. Tourists used to come here before the war. Now it's an armed camp.
How are you?
I'm good. Put your sunglasses on.
Yep.
Everyone's pretty chilled out. They're all just chatting, smoking, greeting friends they haven't seen for a while. They all say the rebels have fled, that Bor's already fallen. We'll see tomorrow if that's true or not. But for the moment, things are looking good for the SPLA. We're woken up by the sound of vehicles outside. Looks like they're getting ready to move on Bor. Hopefully, we'll come with them. Will we be able to follow your troops up to Bor?
Yes. So you are free to cover our movement from where we are to the objective.
Yeah, we need you to go and see exactly.
Before first light, General Gatwich's commandos moved out towards Bor. As the sun rose, the SPLA infantry preparing to join them sang their war chants before battle, a tradition from the long days of guerrilla war against the north. Morale was high as the lead elements of the force pulled into position. 2 battalions of infantry had been sent up the Nile by boat from Juba. It would be their job to take Bor, and they seemed to look forward to the battle ahead. In some ways, they looked and moved like a professional army, but the overall effect at times was of a tribal militia. It was time to move. We'd been held back from the infantry at the head of the column for our own safety, the SPLA said. Instead, they placed us in the rear convoy, made up of the divisional headquarters with all the generals, supply troops, police, and a motley assortment of untrained Dinka civilians, given uniforms and weapons and packed off to the war. As we moved, the government forces made their weapons ready, trained soldiers giving their inexperienced volunteers last-minute tutoring on how to use their rifles. Government troops had been attacked here just 2 days earlier. We drove slowly through an eerie landscape of abandoned villages.
That was the recent attack, the day before yesterday.
You think the rebels have all run away from Bor?
They have not run away. They are there.
Suddenly, a few shots rang out from the bush to our right. The convoy halted as soldiers tried to find the source of the fire. It was driving up to the front line. When they heard gunfire, the troops leapt out of the vehicles and facing towards that direction. We're all taking up position. This might be it. We're not far from Bor now. The officers in charge ordered the troops back into their vehicles. This was just a warning of the trouble that would lie ahead. The rebels' ambushes would escalate in severity as they tested the convoy's strength and willingness to fight. Burned-out tanks dotted the way ahead from the last time the government fled Bor just a week or so earlier. Suddenly, there was a second burst of fire from our right. We're just driving ahead into Bor. You can see the smoke from Bor burning in the distance, and then there was rifle fire to the right of us. We all jumped out. The thick bush in our flank was meant to be cleared by the infantry ahead of us, but clearly the rebels were still around and still up for a fight. The slow-moving convoy was a vulnerable target. As the mobile headquarters for the whole assault, with all the generals riding with us, it was the brain of the whole operation. If the rebels could take us out, the whole assault on Bor would be in danger. No one realized that the bloodiest ambush of the day was lying just ahead of us. We're just on the outskirts of Bor, and as soon as we hit the river crossing, it kicked off big time. There was incoming machine gun fire. The SPLA troops here returned fire with rockets mounted to the back of the truck. It's all chaos. They're pushing forward to clear the area straight ahead of us, the rebels. Back to some huts to try and get behind cover. There wasn't much. The enemy on this side are in the bush. They ambushed us as we came through. There's a heavy exchange of fire now, machine gun fire on both sides. As the government troops were trying to push through the bush to attack the rebels who ambushed us. Trying to clear what we're going to do from here. got the Nile on our side here. We're kind of hemmed in between the rebels and the river.
It was a scene of utter chaos. There seemed to be little coordination between the different elements making up the convoy. While the infantry escorts mostly fought back, most of the police and militia ran around in circles without any direction from officers or NCOs.
We just asked these soldiers what actually happened. It's a pretty chaotic scene. And they said just behind that tree line, just there, the head of the convoy we were travelling in got ambushed, had a few soldiers killed. The enemy is still in there somewhere, so they're working out what to do next.
According to an officer I spoke to later, over 20 government soldiers were killed in this ambush, including a senior general and 3 of his